of Emerson Mnangagwa. I've never endorsed him. I've never believed in him. I didn't think he'd fail so spectacularly as soon as he did, but I never endorsed because, like I said, ZANU-PF is rotten to the core. The model can never take us into the future. And I think the mistake that we made as citizens is twofold. The first being that we thought that if the symbol of our oppression, Robert Mugabe, fell, then that would be the end of our problems. We underestimated just how large the system that's been created over time and perfected by ZANU-PF was. The second mistake is we should have, and this is a regret, and this, you know, I strongly regret, we allowed there to be infractions of the Constitution.
Right.
Because of the sense of populism, the Constitution during that time. We made a huge mistake here. You cannot use sanctions as a scapegoat for failure. So you cannot say that we're in this crisis because of sanctions. And the reason I say this is because a lot of money has been lost to corruption in Zimbabwe. 3 billion was lost to command agriculture. Now imagine if that 3 billion was used to make us more prepared for the drought that has now come. Would there be starvation? No. So the starvation was not caused by the sanctions, it was caused by maladministration, by corruption, by poor management. And I think there's a need not only to just reform, because reform is tinkering with a few things. We need to transform Zimbabwe, fix it at its root, you know, and it's not an international issue. We need to huddle up and say none but ourselves. Let's fix the internal stuff, you know, because attacking the problem at a sanctions level is to start really right at the top. You need to start from the bottom. Once we transform for our own benefit, once we align our own laws for our constitution, with our constitution, for our own sake, everything else will fall into place. That it's not the sanctions that are hurting us, Trevor. It's the corruption, it's the maladministration, it's the poor handling of the monetary crisis. You recall that GNU period that I spoke of?
Yeah.
You know, the sense of optimism was huge. Sanctions had not been removed at that point. Let's do good by our people. Let's fix the country. Let's invest in health, you know, because I find these sanctions so odd that they don't stop the president from flying his private jet. They don't stop Chiwenga from getting healthcare in China. They don't stop them from getting baton sticks and paying police officers and buying tear gas. They don't stop them from, you know, shrinking freedoms. And yet they're somehow blamed for our crisis. It's not sanctions that are to blame. You know, it's the corruption, it's the bad governance disease that dogs this government that's caused us to get where we are. And so if it's about huddling up, we don't start with Z, we start with the ABC. The ABC is the necessary transformation and reformation and rethinking of these institutions, flushing out all the toxins and coming back to a place where we've got solid foundations based on constitutional democracy,